Good morning, children. Yeah. So in the earlier classes, we were discussed about the introductory biology, the biology and the branches, various branches of biology with respect to the applications of the various branches, isn't it? So these are all it is included in the introductory biology. Today we will start the syllabus. Okay. So with respect to our biology, so in that one, in the first year, it will be having the 5 units. So there are 5 units which is comes under the first year biology. The first unit is diversity in the living world. The second unit is the structural organization in the plants and animals. The third unit is the cell structure and the functions. And the fourth one is a plant physiology. Finally, fifth one is a human physiology. Okay. So this chapter, the living world. In the first chapter, it is comes under the first unit, the diversity in the living world. Okay. Fine. So let us start the discussion with respect to the chapter. In that one, the first one, the question arises, the living world. Okay. So you know very well that the biology is the study of living organisms and their processes, isn't it? Yeah. And here in this chapter, we are going to study about what is the meaning of the living, okay, and what are the characteristics of the living organism, and also so a very important one, the biodiversity, the nomenclature, the nomenclature, rules, everything we will study under this chapter. Okay, fine. Let us start the discussion with respect to the first of all, question rises: what is life? If we want to study about the living world, first we should know the meaning of the life, isn't it? Then the question arises: what is life? Okay, so that we can understand easily what is living. Okay, yes, what is life? Life is a unique complex organization of molecules expressing through chemical reactions which lead to growth, development, responsiveness, so that is also called stimulus to response, and finally adaptation, and very important one, reproduction. What is the meaning of this? Okay, so as it is given here, first of all, there are few terminologies which is present in the definition of the life. Life is a unique is nothing but one and only. Okay, fine. And the complex, it is not a simpler form, it is a complex, organized, that is arranged in a appropriate manner. That is a molecules, you know very well that the combination of the atoms expressing through chemical reactions. There are various chemical reactions, there is nothing but metabolic reactions takes place in the living system, and those chemical reactions which leads to growth, okay, development, stimulus to response, there is nothing but responsiveness, adaptation, and reproduction. Okay, so this is called the definition, one of the most appropriate definition for the life. So what is life? Life is a unique complex organization of molecules expressing through chemical reactions which leads to growth, development, responsiveness, adaptations, and reproduction. Okay, now the question arises: what is a living? Okay, or we can also ask the question: what is a living organism? First of all, if we ask the question, or if you ask me the question, what is living? Living is nothing but the state of being alive. Okay, or we can also say the state of being alive is called living. Okay, and here, especially when it comes to the living organism, how can you differentiate with respect to non-living? The based on the characteristics, isn't it? So that means a living organism is self-replicating. Okay, self-replicating, evolving, and self-regulating, interactive system capable of responding to external stimuli. So that means self-replicating is nothing but they reproduce, evolve, and self-regulating. For example, when our body will become cool due to the external environment, immediately our body increases the temperature, isn't it? At the same time, whenever we are feeling extreme heat, immediately we profuse to sweat. So how it will be? It is a maintenance of the internal body temperature, so that is evolving and self-regulating interactive system that is capable of responding to external stimuli. Okay, fine. And here, as I said, whenever it comes to the question of the living, we can say a state of being alive is called living. At the same time, a living organism exhibits the characteristics like growth, reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization, and consciousness. This conscious is nothing but responding to external stimuli. Okay, stimulus to response. So for example, there are a number of examples we can give. Consider, okay, where if you are moving on the floor with bare legs, if any prickles or sharp edges will if we find to our legs, what we will do? Immediately we will draw back our leg, isn't it? Immediately we will draw back our legs. So that is this type of the response. It is related to the stimulus to response. And where we can find all these living organisms? We find living organisms in all kinds of habitats, such as aquatic, they found in the water, so they found in the terrestrial, okay, so they found in the terrestrial, and they found in the aerial. They found in the terrestrial means they found on the surface of the earth, and aerial means they are found in the air also. Okay, so this is with respect to the living and living organism. When it comes to especially how we will decide. So that means either the organism is living or dead. As I said, a living organism exhibit the characteristics. Okay, so based on those characteristics, we will decide if the organism is living or dead. What are those characteristics of the living organism? In that one, first one is growth and development. The second one is reproduction, and the third one is metabolism, and the fourth one is cellular organization, and finally consciousness. Okay, so these are all the characteristics. We can also say the properties of the living organism. Based on these characteristics, yes, we can decide or we can differentiate living organism with respect to non-living organisms. Okay, so let us start the discussion with respect to the characteristics of the living organism, or we can also say the properties of living organisms. Yeah, so in that one, first one is the growth. Okay, the first one is the growth. How can you define the growth? See, whenever we were small, however, so present what we are. So how these changes happens? It is because of the growth, isn't it? So that means, how can you define the growth? Growth is the increase in number of mass of cells by cell division. How it will happens? The growth happens. It is the increase in the number of mass of cells by cell division. Or we can also say, in another words, the growth is a permanent and irreversible increase in size of an organisms, which is accompanied by an increased in dry weight or biomass, is called growth. So that means growth is permanent. Okay, once it happens, it will be not irreversible. Okay, so from childhood to adulthood we may reach, but we cannot again go back to the childhood. So that's what irreversible increase in size of an organism. Okay, so we grown up, isn't it? And which is accompanied by, how it is happened? By an increased in dry weight or biomass is called growth. And again the question arises, the development is the, so what is the difference between growth and development? There are a number of cases, a few students they get confused with respect to the growth and development. Let me to tell you clearly, the growth is different and development is different. How it will be? The development is a sum of changes that occurs in an organ or organisms during its lifetime. So that means throughout the lifespan we can identify the development. So that is nothing but the sum of changes that occurs in an organ or an organisms during its lifetime. But what about the growth? The growth is happens up to the particular or certain level. Okay, up to a certain level in its lifetime of an organism. Are you getting? Yeah. So as I said, if you compare, okay, if you compare with respect to the plants and animals, as I said, all the living organisms grow. It is clear. Okay, there is no need of confusion. And increase in mass and increase in number of individuals are twin characteristics of growth, isn't it? Increase in number, that is nothing but increase in mass. As the number increases, also mass, that weight also increases. Okay, of an individuals are twin characteristics, two characteristics of the growth. And a multicellular organism grows by cell division generally. Okay. And remember, the cell division itself is a mode of reproduction in case of unicellular organism. Okay, but when compared to the plants and animals, in plants the growth by cell division occurs continuously throughout their lifespan. Okay, so that means in plants growth by cell division occurs continuously throughout their lifespan. But what about the animals? In animals, this growth is seen only up to a certain stage. Okay, in animals, so this growth is seen only up to a certain stage. Unicellular organisms also grow by cell division. Okay, so that's what I said. So generally, when we compare with respect to the plants and animals, unicellular organism, we should know clear cut differences between all these things. Okay, in animals growth will happen up to only certain level. But what about in plants? In plants growth by cell division occurs continuously throughout their lifespan. But when it comes to the unicellular organisms, that is nothing but the unicellular organism also grow by, that is cell division, by cell division. Cell division itself is a mode of reproduction in case of unicellular organisms. Okay, so that one we should know. Okay, fine. And as I said, generally, see, when we compare with respect to the living and non-living, how they are different or how can we differentiate? The question arises. Basically, growth is the increase in mass and size, isn't it? Thus, the non-living objects also grow. You must have observed the surface accumulation of the materials, isn't it? So like in the sand dunes also, like mountains. So these are all will be examples. Okay, after the few days, if you observe at least in a centimeters levels, so there may be more accumulations. Okay, so but for that purpose only, so we cannot say they are also living. Okay, so that means basically growth is the increase in mass and size. Thus non-living objects also grow due to the surface accumulation of the materials. So growth is not a defining property of the living organism. Remember, they will ask the question. Okay, so then you can ask me, sir, what is the defining character? Because of that particular character only we cannot decide yes this organism is living or not. Okay, so that because of the these examples we cannot say exactly. So that is a growth is not a defining property of living. If the mountain is growing or if the sand accumulation is increasing, that is also growth. but because of that character we cannot say it is a living. Okay, so in a living organism, growth is from inside, not only external. Okay, in living organism the growth can be happens both internally as well as externally. Are you getting? So that the growth is not a defining property of living organism. Fine? Yeah. So next one, second property of the living organism, that is nothing but reproduction. You know, how can I define the reproduction? The reproduction is a biological process in which an organism gives rise to young ones. Young ones, they are also known as offspring, which is similar to itself. Okay, so then you know very well that it is a production of progeny having features similar to those of parents. In other words, we can also say, how can I define the reproduction? It is a production of progeny. Progeny means nothing but offspring or next generation having features similar to those of parents. And the organisms, they reproduces both asexually and sexually. Okay, so remember, when it comes to the mode of reproduction, some organisms, they may reproduce asexually, that means without involvement of the gametes, but some maximum cases we can see sexual method. If it comes to the importance of the reproduction, okay, they will ask the one last question, what is the importance with respect to the reproduction? Reproduction enables the continuity of species generation after generation. You just imagine, if there will be no reproduction in next generation, there will be no certain progeny. Fortunately, unfortunately, if the animals or the plants, they are not able to reproduce in that particular the level, in next generation there will be no further organisms. Okay, and the reproduction meant for a survival of population of a species on this earth. That's what I said. If there will be no reproduction, so then will be no survival of the population of the species on this earth in the further generations. Are you getting? Yeah. So, and when it comes to unicellular organism, as I said, in unicellular organism, the growth and reproduction are the same because they reproduce by cell division. But when it comes to the lower organisms like fungi, they multiply and spread easily due to the millions of asexual spores. Okay, yeah. And the very important one you must have observed, there are number of cases. Many organisms, they do not reproduce. Example, if you take example of the mules, it is a cross between donkey and horse. And the worker honeybees, infertile human beings, and due to the different reasons they may be not able to reproduce. Okay, so then we cannot say they are non-living, isn't it? Okay, fine. Hence the reproduction is also a not perfect defining property of living organism. Even though they are not able to reproduce, we cannot say they are non-living. Okay, yeah, so these are all things we should know clearly. Fine, yeah. So if you take an example, for example, what are the organisms they reproduces asexually? You can give example. The fungi multiply and spread easily due to millions of asexual spores. Yeast and hydra, they reproduce by budding. In planaria, please note down, yeast and hydra, they reproduce by budding. In planaria, flatworms, regeneration is observed. There is a fragmented organism or part of the organism regenerates and loses the part of its body and becomes a new organism. It grows as a separate individual. Are you getting? Then, in certain fungi and filamentous algae, the protonema of the mosses, they multiply by fragmentation. Due to certain reasons, parts may become fragments. Each and every individual fragments, they grow as a separate individual. That is also very example. That is the best examples. And as I said, the unicellular organisms like bacteria, unicellular algae, amoeba reproduction is synonymous with growth, that is increase in number of the cells as well as they reproduce. Okay, so these are all with respect to the properties of the living organism. Okay, fine. The next one is metabolism, very important one. Okay, very important one. Write down. Okay, so metabolism is nothing but it is the sum total of all biochemical reactions taking place inside the living system. Okay, so that means we can also say the biochemical process that occurs within a living organism in order to maintain life is called metabolism, or we can also say the sum total of all the chemical reactions occurring in our body is called metabolism. And remember, it is the defining feature of living organism. Okay, defining, the feature. Fine. Yeah, because of this metabolism only we can say yes, that organism is clearly it is a living or non-living. Okay, yeah. And as I said, when it comes to the metabolism are nothing but metabolic reactions can be demonstrated outside the body in cell-free system also. Okay, so that means the metabolic reactions can be demonstrated outside the body means in the laboratory. Okay, for example, the isolated metabolic reaction in vitro are not living things but are living reactions. Okay, so this is how generally we can differentiate. Okay, and remember, all the plants, animals, fungi and microbes exhibit metabolism. For example, if you take an example of the plant, photosynthesis, isn't it? What about the digestion in animals? Isn't it? Engulfing food particles in microbes. So these are all the features. Okay, and both in unicellular or multicellular living organism, there are thousands of metabolic reactions occurring simultaneously inside. Okay, yeah, so these are all considered as a metabolism or metabolic reactions. If you still ask me the question, please note down. So for example, as I said, the metabolism, we can also say another words, metabolism is a combination of catabolism and anabolism. So then you can ask me, sir, what is a catabolism? Cata, C-A-T-A-B-O-L-I-S-M. Catabolism is nothing but biochemical reaction concerned with breakdown of organic molecules into simple substances. Example, oxidative breakdown of glucose to release energy in the form of ATP. So that's what we call respiration. During respiration, what will happen? The carbohydrates combines with the oxygen and they split, that is a breakdown into carbon dioxide, water molecules along with energy. So this process is called catabolism. Okay, and what about the anabolism? The biochemical reaction concerned with building up or synthesis of complex substances from simple ones. During this process, what happens? The free energy is stored in the form of potential energy, that is synthesis of carbohydrates from carbon dioxide and water molecules in the presence of light and chlorophyll during photosynthesis. Okay, so that's why the metabolism is also called, it's a combination of catabolism and anabolism. Okay, so on the next one, the next property of the living organism, cellular organization, or we can also say the cellular organization of the body. Okay, yeah, so let us discuss the cellular organization. The cellular organization of the body is a defining feature of life forms. You know very well that organisms are made up of one or more cells. It is a defining feature of the living organisms. And the cells are the basic unit, that is nothing but structural and functional unit of the living organisms, isn't it? How can you define the cell? The cell is the structural and functional unit of, that is basic unit of the living organisms. Fine. Yeah. So, and before that one, let me to tell you, see, when it comes to cellular organization, in unicellular organism, the single cell performs all the life functions. It functions independently. In multicellular organism, various levels of organization within them. Okay, so while we are discussing the introductory biology, I told you, so how it will be beginning from the atoms to then molecules, then after cellular levels, isn't it? The cellular level, then after tissue level, and organ level, organ system level, organisms level, like that. Okay, and the individual cell may perform specific functions and also work together for the survival of the entire organisms, so that the cells, they become independent on one another. You know very well that even though they are single cell organism, they can also perform all the life activities. Okay, yeah. So that's what with respect to the cellular organization of the body. And the last one is the final one. Okay, the final one is nothing but consciousness. The conscious is nothing but, it is also known as stimulus to response. Okay, stimulus to response. How can you define the stimulus to response? Yes, as I said in the beginning, the consciousness is the ability to sense their surrounding or environment and respond to these environmental stimuli, which could be a physical, chemical or biological process. Okay, so the plants respond to external factors like light, water, temperature and other organisms, as well as pollutants also. So here also some of the examples it is given. Touch me not plant, whenever it touches or if you touch, what will happen? Yes, the leaf pinnates, it will be just, okay, the O's will be complete, it will closes the leaf pinnates in the touch me not plant. And the generally plants, they move towards the light, that is a phototrophic movement. And also in case of the, that is partial parasite plants like a leaf, that is a insectivorous plants, they catch the insects. Okay, so this is how exactly they shows the consciousness. That's what I said, is the ability to sense their surrounding or environment and respond to these environmental stimuli. Okay, yeah. So here are some examples. All the organisms are aware of their surroundings, so it is a defining property of the living organisms. Very important one. If it is a dead, there will be no stimulus, isn't it? Yeah, because of the stimulus to response, we can say yes, this organism is living or dead. Okay, yes. See, all the organisms, including humans, beginning from the prokaryotes to most complex eukaryotes, can sense the response to the environmental factors. Okay, so that's what I said. So they show a photoperiod affects reproduction in seasonal breeders, both plants and animals. Okay, so including human is the only organism have self-conscious. Okay, the conscious is different, but generally when compared to the other organism, human is the only organism having self-conscious, so that he can avoid and he can plan for further activities. He know very well that if I do these things, what may happen is the next. Okay, so that what are the do's and don'ts. So on the basis of that one, humans can decide and he can plan for the future also. Okay, So let it be. So next class we will continue the remaining things. Okay, today we were discussed about the meaning of the life, living and living organism. Also we were discussed about the characteristics of the living. That is, the first one is the growth and development, the second one is the reproduction, third one is the metabolism, fourth one is the cellular organization, and the fifth one is very important one, stimulus to response or consciousness. It is also known as stimulus to response or irritability. Okay, fine. So let it be. Next class we will continue the remaining things. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.